Has Korn finally reached the point of insanity with this album? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album See You on the Other Side from the band Korn. Now it's been a minute since I've done a Korn reaction here on my channel. The last of their albums that I have heard was Take a Look in the Mirror. That one had a really great dark heavy sound to it that I really enjoyed. And now it's time for See You on the Other Side. And a lot of you have been telling me in the comments that this album is pretty different, so I am very excited to check it out and just see what I'm going to think of Korn's 7th studio album. Alright, so up first is track 1, which is called Twisted Transistor. There's definitely a noticeable, almost bounciness to this one. Because the music Yeah, this chorus is very pop sounding almost. It just has that really smooth quality to it. That was kind of cool, that part there. That was track 1, Twisted Transistor. A really smooth, clean quality to that one. Almost futuristic sounding in a way. It still had some of that heaviness in the instrumentals, but it was like they were kind of hidden almost by this borderline pop quality that the main sound of the track had. I loved the vocals on that one. The vocal delivery still was awesome with a lot of that growliness, but again, it's almost like they just polished it a little bit. They kind of cleaned up the sound from their previous albums. But moving on to track 2 now, we have Politics. This song is interesting. It's very echoey, atmospheric. Yeah, there's a really great speediness to this album so far. Is that a distorted guitar? Track 2, Politics. Very similar to the first song on this album in how it still had some of that heavy instrumentation going on, but it's almost like covered up in the forefront by this really smooth, polished, futuristic sound. I actually really liked the echoey kind of atmospheric quality to that track, but there's almost like a heaviness that's lacking so far for me. It's what I love about Korn's music, is like that raw quality, and so far I'm not really getting that from these first 2 tracks, so I'm kind of hoping they bring that in later on, so we'll have to see. But moving on to track 3, we have Hypocrites. Okay, this one's starting out very ominous and dark sounding. Hypocrites! 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 Weeping rose of Jeremiah. Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's like a certain quality that I'm missing from this album so far. It's almost like it's missing maybe the bass or something. I liked that percussion there. Well, that was track 3, Hypocrites. I did really enjoy the echoiness that they were utilizing on that one, especially at the start there. It kind of had a haunted tone to it. But there is almost like a sort of funkiness that's missing from this album so far. I feel like on previous albums, Korn has always gone in a different direction sonically, but they've always retained a sort of telltale Korn style to their music. And this is the first album of theirs I'm hearing where I'm not really picking up on that a whole lot. But moving on to track 4, we have Souvenir. Alright, this track has a little bit of punchiness going on. It's still kind of covered up by this certain, like, polished tone, though. I like the vocal effects that they're doing. It's like it's kind of going back and forth in my headphones. Again, with kind of this ambient quality to the sound. There's like this sort of hollowness to it. That was track 4, Souvenir. I think that is the heaviest one on this album so far. It had a little bit more of a punchy delivery to it, which I really enjoyed. I will say one thing too I'm picking up on with See You on the Other Side, at least so far, is Jonathan Davis's vocals are staying pretty steady, or dare I say predictable, throughout these tracks as well. You can compare it to their debut album, and he was just doing some crazy stuff with his vocals, and even the instrumentals would just constantly be changing up the tracks. It was so entertaining to listen to, like you never knew what was coming next. But I'm going to move on to track 5, which is called 10 or a Two-Way. That sound in the background is cool. I can't tell if it's this electronic beeping or if it's really distorted guitar. Again, it's giving this album a sort of futuristic tone. Treasure deep between them. Okay, this track is actually kind of fun. Doesn't care if it's a 10 or a two-way. Doesn't matter, she'll be doing it. I love all of the distorted stuff that they're adding to this one. There's almost like a fuzzy, muffled quality to it. Only bugging you till the season change. All right, we got some of those bagpipes here at the end. And then that's like a heartbeat that's increasing in speed. All right, and that just kind of abruptly went right into the beginning of the next track, so I'm going to pause it real fast. That was track 5, 10 or a Two-Way. I think that's actually my favorite on this album so far. It still had a really fantastic atmosphere to it. I actually like the direction that this album went in with the whole futuristic, kind of echoey, floaty around sound, but there's just kind of a repetitiveness to it, and I feel like that track, they threw on some different stuff, some unexpected sounds that just made it a little bit more fun to listen to. Moving on to track 6, we have Throw Me Away. There's this really dark, ominous vocal tone going on behind the main vocals. Again, all the distortion, they really like using that on this album. This seems to be a very percussive heavy track. I don't know, there's a certain lack of guitars, it sounds like. Track 6, Throw Me Away, a little bit more of a calm, reined-in song, but it had a sort of pent-up energy to it, like something was building up. It just had that tension-filled, kind of creepy atmosphere. I actually loved the verses on that one, with kind of that echoey, really ambient sound and those creepy dark vocals going on in the background, almost like a chanting quality to them. But up next is track 7, which is called Love Song. Okay, we've got a very heavily electronic start to this one. Don't bring me daffodils, bring me a bouquet of pills. Seems like a pretty classic Korn lyric. Now they've got some second vocals going on here too. Track 7, Love Song. Again, I really enjoyed the kind of floaty, atmospheric quality to that one, and they were doing some interesting stuff with the vocals too. But yeah, I'm finding this album almost frustrating in a way because there are elements of it I actually am really enjoying, but they keep just building these songs up in a way that I just want such an aggressive punch of energy, and they're not giving it to me. There almost needs to be more filler from the instrumentals or something. I don't know, more guitar or more of that funky bass. That I think that's what I'm missing from this album. Moving on to track 8, we have Open Up. I just made that point about wanting more bass, and this one kind of has it, albeit some distorted bass though. It kind of has a fuzzy sound to it. Okay, and now we've got some stringed instruments coming in. And now we have some random acoustic sounds here at the end. Has Korn finally reached the point of insanity with this album? Well, that was track 8, Open Up. What a weird ending to that song with that bagpipe and then those distorted, really sped up Jonathan Davis nonsensical vocals going on. Kind of a unhinged ending to that track. But the main portion of that song I actually really loved. It had a fantastic, calm, atmospheric nature to it, and his vocals were just really clear and soaring. I loved the sound of them. Alright, moving on to track 9, we have Coming Undone.
Keep holding on. That's right.
Okay, this one's got some more guitar going on with it.
Wait, I'm coming undone. Choke again now. Wait.
This track still does have that polished quality to it, and I almost want a little bit more funkiness or something from his vocals. But overall, this is kind of what I'm talking about that I've been missing from this album. Like, this track is just a little bit more aggressive with its tone.
Not getting better. Wait, I'm coming undone. Strong, so bad again.
Track 9, Coming Undone. That track finally kind of had that chorus that I've been looking for, just a little bit more of an aggressive delivery to it. Still very atmospheric though. There was a kind of echoiness to that one at times, which I like. I like when they fuse those two elements in their music. But I'm going to move on to track 10, which is called Getting Off. That percussion, man.
Go with that. Is it telling me why? Go with that. To be hindered. Getting off.
This almost sounds like something you'd hear on Issues. This part here, that's more restrained. Track 10, Getting Off. That one had a great delivery to it. Again, just bringing more energy to that song. I really like when Jonathan Davis changes up his vocals a lot and he brings that growliness and he just kind of brings a lot of variety to his vocal delivery. And that track, he was doing that a lot more, I noticed, than some of the other songs on this album. All right, up next is track 11, which is called Liar. My brain is confused. It's like classic Korn fused with borderline dubstep.
Oh my God, how can you deny? Hey you, you're saying that she's all that you lie.
All right, some classic Korn craziness going on here with the vocals. Yeah, again, this track is finally fusing a little bit more punchiness here. What is with these weird bagpipe endings on this album? Track 11, Liar. I also really enjoyed that one. We're kind of on a roll here now with this album. It started off pretty lukewarm and it's definitely improved in my opinion throughout its runtime. Again, just more punchiness with that one. They kind of built that track up and it had those restrained elements and just overall more variety with the sound of that one. It just really kept you on your toes when you were listening to it. I loved how Jonathan Davis infused some of those crazy vocals in there as well. But up next is track 12, which is called For No One. Again, kind of what I picked up on the first track, Twisted Transistor. There's like a bounciness, a sort of springiness to this one. More distortion here on these guitars. It almost gives it like a borderline electronic sound.
And we're not gonna stop on the breaks and no one.
Track 12, For No One. That one had a really great flow to it. I liked the sort of loose relaxedness to it. His vocals definitely stayed pretty like clean cut throughout that whole thing. Not as much variety going on in terms of him changing up the sound. Okay, moving on to track 13, we have Seen It All. Okay, this one's actually right up my alley so far. Very dark, creepy sounding, sort of industrial sounding too.
I've seen it all, still can't taste it.
Those sounds in the background are really cool. They're kind of infusing some lighter tones on this song because the rest of it is so drudgy and heavy.
Just a child.
Right, we have the stringed instruments yet again. There's a very cinematic, borderline orchestral sound to this one. It's got a very grand openness to it. Now there's like this weird droning sound. Okay, here we go again with the bagpipes. That was track 13, Seen It All. Really haunting and kind of reined in with its sound, but it had this amazing expansive quality to it as well. Just a sort of almost atmospheric element to it, but then when they brought those stringed instruments in, it gave it this very orchestral vibe too. Again, I'm not sure about the ending of that one with the whole bagpipe thing. I don't find it's really adding anything really to this album. It's kind of just a way for them to infuse the bagpipe, I think. But moving on to the last song on See You on the Other Side, we have track 14, which is called Tearjerker.
Well, I wish there was someone. Well, I someone. Even ghosts get tired and go home.
Oh, these vocals coming in the background are really cool. There's like a haunted quality to this one.
And I wish it was something saturated loneliness.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis's vocals on this song are different. Like, they're very light, and there's none of that growliness, like the raspiness in them. It's kind of cool though. I'm actually really liking it.
Without the light. And I wish I could feel it. And I wish I could steal it. And I wish I could feel it.
Never mind. I retract everything I just said.
And I wish I could feel it. I'm corrupted.
That percussion's really cool. It's got this great echoey coldness to it. There's just a sort of emptiness to the sound of this song that I think just really suits the lyrical themes of loneliness and not feeling any love. Well, that was track 14, Tearjerker, the last track on See You on the Other Side. That one actually was fantastic. I loved that song. Very, very different. It didn't even sound like a Korn song until that end bit came in and brought the punchy aggression and those growlier, kind of deeper vocals from Jonathan Davis. It still had that really polished quality that this whole album has had, but there was something about that song. It was almost more emotional in a way, like it kind of had more of an authenticity to it almost than the rest of the tracks on this album had, at least for me anyway, when I was listening to it. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to See You on the Other Side, the 7th studio album from the band Korn. This one was pretty weird to listen to, not gonna lie. Yet again, a very, very different direction for Korn to take their music in. I didn't hate it, it just was lacking a lot of that awesome rawness and aggression that I really like from Korn's earlier stuff. But as it progressed while I was listening to it, this album definitely did start to grow on me. I'm not sure if the tracks just started infusing more of that sound that I personally enjoy, or if I just got used to hearing Korn in this style. I'm not sure which it was, but either way, I definitely thought this album was kind of back heavy in that the tracks I thought toward the end of the album were more of the standouts for me personally. Some of those would be track 8, Open Up. I really enjoyed that one. And track 11, Liar. I enjoyed that one as well, but by miles, my favorite song on this whole album was the closing track, Tearjerker. But yeah, this whole album in true Korn style just brought something very new to their sound, and I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more from Korn and just see what else they're going to bring to the table musically. But yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.